The summer transfer window of 2025 has now officially drawn to a close, shutting on Monday the 1st of September. Yet, as is so often the case in football, the focus has already begun to shift to the next opportunity for reinforcements. Manchester United, ever keen to strengthen their squad, have wasted no time in setting their sights on potential arrivals once the January market opens. At the very top of their shortlist stands one name, Conor Gallagher of Atletico Madrid. The 25-year-old midfielder has been high on United's radar for some time. In fact, the Red Devils made a late push to secure his services on deadline day of the recently closed summer window. However, despite strong interest and concrete discussions, a deal could not be reached. The stumbling block lay in the nature of the proposed transfer. Atletico were only prepared to sanction a permanent sale, whereas United, cautious with their spending, were looking merely for a loan arrangement. That impasse effectively brought negotiations to a halt, and Gallagher remained in the Spanish capital. It was a source of disappointment for United, who had hoped to add his energy and industry to their midfield. Nonetheless, the club were far from idle during the window. They managed to secure several notable acquisitions, each of whom will play a role in shaping Erik ten Hag's squad this season. Among those brought in were the Brazilian forward Matheus Cunha and Brentford's reliable wide man Bryan Mbeumo. Alongside them came the promising Slovenian striker Benjamin Iko, young prospect Diego Leon, and goalkeeper Sen Lamens, who provides added depth between the posts. It was, by all accounts, a busy summer for United, though the absence of Gallagher remains a lingering what-if. Despite failing to land him at the first time of asking, United's admiration for Gallagher has not waned. Club insiders insist that the England international remains a prime target, with plans already being drawn up to test Atletico's resolve once again when the market reopens on the 1st of January, 2026. There is a sense at Old Trafford that the midfield, though improved, still requires a further injection of dynamism and bite. Gallagher, in that respect, appears to fit the bill perfectly. He is a player who marries technical ability with tireless work rate, a quality United feel has been lacking in their engine room. Moreover, he is approaching what many would consider the peak years of his career, making him an attractive option both in the short and long term. His pedigree in English football is well established. Gallagher made his name in the Premier League during spells with Chelsea and Crystal Palace, where his combative style and boundless energy quickly made him a favourite among supporters. Across those stints, he amassed an impressive tally of 136 league appearances, experience that would serve him well should he return to England. Now plying his trade in Spain, Gallagher has already begun to carve out a role at Atletico Madrid. This season alone, he has featured in each of their first 3 La Liga fixtures, underlining his importance to Diego Simeone's plans. That, however, also raises questions over whether Atletico will be willing to part with him so readily, especially mid-season. It is not only Manchester United who have taken notice of Gallagher's talents. Reports from England suggest that several Premier League sides are continuing to monitor his situation. Everton, looking to bolster their midfield options, are one such club, while Crystal Palace, where Gallagher enjoyed one of the most fruitful spells of his career, are also believed to be keeping tabs on developments. Yet, it is United who appear most determined to secure his signature. The club's hierarchy view him as a missing piece in their midfield puzzle, someone capable of complementing the creative flair of Bruno Fernandes and the growing influence of Kobbie Mainoo. Gallagher's engine and versatility would not only provide depth but also bring balance to a side that has often been accused of lacking graft in the middle of the park. The prospect of Gallagher donning the red shirt of United carries with it a certain intrigue. It would mark a return to the Premier League for a player whose career path has already taken him through one of Europe's toughest domestic competitions. For Gallagher himself, the move could represent both a homecoming and a chance to test himself once more against the intensity of English football at the very highest level. United's pursuit of Gallagher also speaks to a wider strategy being employed by the club. Rather than relying solely on marquee signings, there is an increasing focus on players who combine quality with work ethic, individuals who can form the backbone of the squad for years to come. Brazilian winger Antony was moved to tears as he bade farewell to Manchester United upon sealing a permanent transfer to Real Betis, with both clubs reaching an agreement worth €22 million plus add-ons. In an emotional unveiling as a Betis player, Antony confessed that only his family knew the hardship he had endured while being made to train away from the main squad in Manchester. With tears rolling down his cheeks, he declared that he had always held faith that this special moment of renewal would arrive. The move, which had initially stumbled on the preceding Friday, was finally completed just before the close of the summer transfer window on Monday evening. According to ESPN, Betis agreed to pay a guaranteed €22 million, around £18.6 million, with a further €3 million potentially due in performance-related bonuses. The deal also contains a sell-on clause, entitling United to 50% of any future transfer fee should Betis part ways with Antony down the line. At 25 years of age, Antony still had 2 years remaining on the 5-year contract he signed upon joining Manchester United from Ajax in 2022 for a fee of €95 million, then the second highest outlay in the club's history behind Paul Pogba. Yet the Red Devils ultimately sanctioned his departure after he was omitted from Rubenamorim's pre-season squad and confined to separate training sessions at Carrington. His fall from grace in Manchester had been stark, considering the weight of expectation when he first arrived in the Premier League. It was his half-season loan at Real Betis, however, that altered the trajectory of his career. During that spell he impressed with 9 goals in 26 appearances, playing a pivotal role in guiding the Andalusian club to the UEFA Conference League final. His verve and flair endeared him to the Betis supporters, who pressed relentlessly for the club to make his stay permanent. That groundswell of affection was decisive, convincing the board in Seville that Antony was worth the investment despite the financial stretch required. Antony could scarcely contain his delight at the prospect of donning the green and white stripes once again. "I cannot wait to wear the Betis shirt again," he proclaimed, brimming with gratitude towards those who had labored behind the scenes to make the transfer possible. He described the return to Sevilla as life-changing, even contrasting it romantically with his time in Manchester. "What a difference! Sevilla is more beautiful than Manchester. I am finally here. I even struggled to sleep after witnessing so much love from the Betis fans. Some were waiting outside my home at 2 a.m, he revealed with a smile. Reflecting on his 3 seasons in Manchester, Antony acknowledged that he never truly lived up to the lofty expectations attached to his record-breaking price tag. Over the course of 96 appearances for United, he managed 12 goals, a modest return for a player of such cost and promise. "Being seen and valued is very important to me. It is something money cannot buy," he admitted, in what seemed a subtle critique of his treatment in England. For Antony, recognition and belonging outweighed the commercial pressures that often define elite football. As his chapter in Manchester closes, the Brazilian seems reborn in Seville. "Betis was always my first choice, and that is why I waited until the final day for the move to happen," he concluded.